Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving headfirst into something I think we can all relate to at some point. Buying a car.
That's right. It's a big one.
It can feel like a monumental task, right? And we won't sugarcoat it, there are a lot of factors to consider, but that's why we're doing this deep dive. So you don't feel lost in a sea of dealerships and jargon.
Absolutely. We're going to equip you with the knowledge to make the whole process way less daunting and hopefully even a little bit fun.
Exactly. And the best part is, this isn't just some random car buying advice. You sent us a snippet of a conversation about your own car buying journey. So we know this is something you're actively thinking about. So let's make this as practical as possible for you.
Love it. Let's do it.
All right, so when you start thinking about buying a car, where does your mind go first? For me, it's always like, okay, what can I actually afford? And how does this whole credit score thing work?
Yeah, the credit score is like this mysterious number that holds so much power, right?
Absolutely. So break it down for us. What's the big deal with credit scores when it comes to buying a car?
So picture your credit score as your financial report card in the eyes of lenders. If you've got a good score, say 700 or above, it shows them you're responsible with money, you pay your bills on time, and they can trust you with a loan.
Makes sense.
A good score unlocks better interest rates, which, believe it or not, can save you a ton of money over the life of your loan.
Oh, I believe it. Interest rates can be brutal, but it's hard to visualize how much of a difference that actually makes.
Totally. Let's say you're looking at a $20,000 loan for a car. With a good credit score, you might snag an interest rate around 4%, but with a lower score, that rate could easily jump to 8% or even higher. And we're talking potentially thousands of dollars more over the life of the loan.
Wow, okay, yeah, that's no small chunk of change. So
Yeah.
credit scores, definitely something to keep in mind. Now, once you kind of figure out your budget and financing, you face the classic car buying dilemma, used versus new.
The age-old debate.
Right. What are some things people should consider when deciding between a used car and a new car?
Well, used cars, they're definitely alluring, right? Lower upfront cost is a huge factor. But the trade-off is there's always that element of uncertainty. You don't really know the car's full history, and there's a higher chance you might be hit with surprise repairs. It's kind of like buying a used phone. You might be saving money initially, but you might end up with a dud battery or something.
Yeah, and with a used car, you don't always have the comfort of a manufacturer's warranty like you do with a new car, right?
Exactly. New cars offer that peace of mind, a warranty, that new car smell, but you pay for it. They depreciate, meaning they lose value the second you drive them off the lot.
That new car smell fades fast.
Right. So it really boils down to what's most important to you at this point in your life. Are you trying to minimize those upfront costs, or is that new car peace of mind worth the extra cost?
Right, it's all about priorities. Speaking of which, this next one is big, and it feels like it goes beyond just buying a car.
Yeah.
The whole gas versus electric decision.
That's a big one, yeah.
It feels like you're making a statement about the future when you choose between those two.
It's true. I mean, gas cars, they're familiar, the infrastructure is already in place, but gas prices, who knows what they'll do? Up, down, all over the place. Plus, there's the environmental impact, which is a major concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, and then electric cars seem so sleek and futuristic, but range anxiety is a real thing. What happens if you're in the middle of nowhere and you run out of charge?
That's a valid concern. Yeah, electric cars are great for the environment, and they can be cheaper to fuel up in the long run, but that charging infrastructure isn't quite as widespread as gas stations yet. But who knows? Maybe in a few years, charging stations will be as ubiquitous as gas stations are now.
It really makes you think about how quickly things are changing in the automotive world.
Hmm.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Credit scores, used versus new, gas versus electric. But how do we take all this knowledge and actually make sure we get a good deal on a car?
Right, that's the key. Well, I always say knowledge is power when it comes to buying a car. Before you even step foot in a dealership, do your homework. Sites like Kelley Blue Book or Edmunds can tell you the fair market value of the car you have your eye on. That way you won't get blindsided.
I love that.
Yeah.
Information is power. So I'm walking into the dealership armed and dangerous with my research.
Exactly. You're in control. And don't be afraid to negotiate. Dealers expect it. Know what you're willing to pay. And don't be afraid to walk away if you're not comfortable. There are plenty of other cars, other dealerships, other deals out there.
And if we're talking used cars, getting a pre-purchase inspection by a trusted mechanic is crucial, right?
100%.
Okay.
Think of it as a health checkup for your potential car. It can uncover any hidden problems that could end up costing you a fortune down the road.
Okay, so much good advice. We've covered a ton of ground today. from credit scores to negotiation tactics to the future of transportation. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier about how quickly the automotive world is changing. The car we buy today might not be the car we're driving in 5 or 10 years, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we're on the verge of self-driving cars becoming mainstream. Imagine a world where car ownership looks completely different than it does now.
No more parking nightmares. Sign me up.
Right. And then there's the rise of ride-sharing services and alternative modes of transportation, scooters, bikes, you name it. It's a really exciting time to be thinking about transportation.
It is. It makes you realize that car buying isn't just about this one purchase. It's about understanding where things are headed. Well, listeners, we've thrown a lot of information at you today, but hopefully you're feeling more confident and prepared to navigate the exciting and sometimes overwhelming world of car buying.
Exactly. Remember, knowledge is power.
So, as you embark on this journey, we leave you with this thought. What does your ideal mode of transportation look like in the future?
In 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, food for thought.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everybody. Until next time.